welcome to Bible 360. The 24th and 25th chapters of the book of Matthew are sometimes called the eschatological discourse. Eschatology is a part of theology concerned with the final events of history. In Matthew 24, verse 3, the disciples ask Jesus directly, "What will be the sign of your coming and of the end of the age?" Jesus' answer comes in two parts. First, he responds with a list of signs of the end times, but he does not give an exact date. In fact, he says the following: "But about that day or hour no one knows, not even the angels in heaven, nor the Son, but only the Father. As it was in the days of Noah, so it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. For in the days before the flood, people were eating and drinking, marrying and giving in marriage, up to the day Noah entered the ark. And they knew nothing about what would happen until the flood came and took them all away. That is how it will be at the coming of the Son of Man. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know on what day your Lord will come. But understand this, if the owner of the house had known at what time of night the thief was coming, he would have kept watch and would not have let his house be broken into. So you also must be ready, because the Son of Man will come at an hour when you do not expect him." Then in verse 45 of Matthew 24 and on into chapter 25, Jesus goes from talking about the end of the age to telling the disciples four parables, all of which concern what we should be doing and what we should not be doing while waiting for his return. First is a parable about a servant who is faithful while his master is gone, contrasted with a wicked servant who runs amok because his master has been away a long time. Then comes the parable of the 10 virgins, half of whom are unprepared for the appearance of the bridegroom because he takes so long to arrive. In the third parable, a master leaves his servants with talents of gold and judges their faithfulness in managing them when he returns. In all of these parables, the implied question is, will we assume Jesus has abandoned us and live our lives as if he will never return? Or will we live each day in anticipation of his imminent return? Jesus' final parable in Matthew 25 gets very specific about what we should be doing while awaiting Jesus' return. Here's what he says: "When the Son of Man comes in glory and all the angels with him, he will sit on his glorious throne. All the nations will be gathered before him, and he will separate the people from one another, as a shepherd separates the sheep from the goats. He will put the sheep on his right and the goats on his left. Then the king will say to those on his right, 'Come, you who are blessed by my Father, take your inheritance, the kingdom prepared for you since the creation of the world. For I was hungry, and you gave me something to eat. I was thirsty, and you gave me something to drink. I was a stranger, and you invited me in. I needed clothes, and you clothed me. I was sick, and you looked after me. I was in prison, and you came to visit me.' Then the righteous will answer him, 'Lord, when did we see you hungry and feed you, or thirsty and give you something to drink? When did we see you a stranger and invite you in, or needing clothes and clothe you? When did we see you sick or in prison and go to visit you?' The king will reply, 'Truly I tell you, whatever you did for one of the least of these brothers and sisters of mine, you did for me.'" True Christ followers are generous and are responsive to those in need, both individually and collectively as the church. Jesus says we have a responsibility to the least and the lost among us. True Christ followers are also the ones who welcome the stranger. The Greek word translated stranger is xenos, from which we get the word xenophobia, the intense or irrational dislike or fear of people from other countries. Jesus says Christians are not xenophobic. Throughout history, the Christian church has led in the establishment of the first hospitals, hospices, universities, care for children and the elderly, and justice for the marginalized and displaced. Individual Christians such as Wilberforce led the fight to end the slave trade in the British Empire. Florence Nightingale worked to improve the standards of nursing. Dietrich Bonhoeffer opposed Hitler and Nazism in Germany. Mother Teresa devoted her life to care for the poor. Dr. Martin Luther King was a leader in the American civil rights movement. Bishop Desmond Tutu fought apartheid in South Africa. Why? Because whatever we do for the least of these brothers and sisters, we do for him. This is Larry Hodges with a 360 Bible study on what to do while waiting for Jesus to return.